Welcome, Katura. We're so delighted to have an opportunity to chat with you. Congratulations on winning your wonderful award for gender equity. I thought it was a huge opportunity just to learn a little bit more about you and what you do. So maybe share with us some of your story and what's led you to be so passionate about gender equity.
So the thing about my passion for anything social entrepreneurship related is it started when I was about 11 and my mum took us to, I believe it was Fiji, and we got to see that people around the world don't quite live the same way that we do. And that started the ball rolling in my mind. And over the years, my mum and my dad constantly were trying to encourage me to use the privilege that I have to make an impact. But in any endeavor that I took, I didn't have much of a direction. And then I started learning more about gender equality and gender inequality, and that piqued my interest. And I got the opportunity to go to Mozambique to be part of a documentary that was all about education. And while I was there, it really solidified in my mind that particularly for young girls in developing nations, they don't have the same opportunities. Their lives are drastically different to my own.
Mm.
And as a person who has a decent amount of privilege, there are things that I can do to not necessarily control those women's lives, because that's one thing I'm always very careful of, but giving them opportunities to develop their lives in a way that they see fit and the way that they would like to improve their own community. One of the core staples that I have at 8 by 8 is that we are not about fixing where we go. That's not our goal. What we are all about is giving skills and opportunities to young girls so they can look critically at their environment and their community, and they can figure out where are the areas where they can actually make impact and improve. And we're already starting to see that. We've got a period poverty project that's run by one of our girls who is based in Mozambique called Celia. And that was really where my passion started. It was during that 2018 trip to Mozambique, and I met Celia then. So I have actually seen her in person. And ever since then, over the past 5 years, we've just been keeping in contact and working together. And it's become a massive part of my life, but it's also branched into other parts of my life. So it's gotten me work, not necessarily work experience, but it's given me experiences that have helped me in my career, and as well as just in the general education environment. A lot of the skills that I've learned over the past 5 years help me with my university degree that I'm currently doing. So I find that it started when I was 13 and it's kind of wormed its way into everything over the past few years. And I couldn't be happier, if I'm being honest. I think it was a fantastic experience and it's changed me for the better.
Mm. And I think you're very wise about taking skills and sharing, teaching women how to fish, essentially, rather than actually trying
Yeah.
to impose a lifestyle on them, which is great.
Mm.
So, what are some of the actions that you're most proud of?
So there's a few that come to mind. I'll try and do them in chronological order if I can. The first would be when I actually went to Mozambique. That was a big, scary moment for me because I'd never been in front of a camera, and suddenly I had to, get over my fear, because the impact that I wanted to have could only happen if I put myself in that uncomfortable position and gave something a go. And while every time I look back at that video, I cringe at myself going, oh goodness, I wasn't very confident in front of that camera. It helped me, and I'm very proud that I was able to get over that and continue with it, because it has impacted so many people since. And I think that even though it was nerve-wracking in the moment, it was definitely worth it overall. One of the other moments that I'm really proud of is like meeting Celia and seeing the program that she's developed, which is the Period Poverty Project, or the Dignity Project, develop over the past few years. Through that project, she's helped 75,000 periods have a solution to them, which is life-changing for young girls in a country where when you get your period, you just stay home because the only resources you have are sand and leaves. So that's one thing. I'm very happy that I was able to be involved in that and to support that. But I think the biggest thing, the biggest event or action that I'm proud of is being able to say that in July this year, Celia will graduate. So she was the first girl in our project. And I remember, I think back to her 5 years ago, she was a scared, nervous young girl who was even more terrified than I was, who wouldn't really speak up very much and didn't have much of a direction for her life, or she had dreams, but she couldn't actually realize them because of the lack of opportunity. But this July, she's going to be graduating as a nurse. She's helping so many girls in her community. She's running this amazing project that's got other girls involved. So, as a person who had a hand in ensuring that happened, that's one of my greatest accomplishments in my life. On a more personal note, you know, one of the other things that I'm proudest of is going to the university that I'm going to. I'm actually wearing this shirt at the moment, my Bond University shirt. There's a very embarrassing video of me on the internet from when I got the call saying that I'd got in on a full scholarship, and that was because of the work that I do. And I'm grateful that a university like Bond has recognized the impact that I've been able to make and the dedication that I have and the dream that I have for 8x8, and that they've chosen to support me through that, because it's been a hard working 5 years to get to where I am, and to have that recognized and to have such an amazing amount of support from a university is really, really encouraging.
That's fabulous. And how can people get involved if anybody's interest is piqued to support this period project that you're running?
The project and the Period Poverty Project there. You can always reach out. I'm more than happy to talk anybody's ear off. So if anybody is interested in contacting us, if you go to that website, all of our contact information is there, but you can also reach out on LinkedIn, Facebook, any way you can think of. And we're more than happy to talk. You can make a donation on the website to actually help support the Period Poverty Project. And if you are interested in donations or with helping us grow donations, that would always be appreciated. But yeah, just reach out. I'm more than happy to chat to anyone about anything at any point in time. I never used to be a chatterbox, but now I definitely am.
Well done. So what have been some of the challenges and hurdles you've had to overcome?
So some of the biggest challenges that I've experienced as a young entrepreneur was people at the beginning didn't really want to work with me, and I don't blame them. I was a 13-year-old who had no experience, no qualifications, no evidence that I was really super, super interested in continuing this sort of a project for a while, or if it was just a fad. So I can understand at that point people weren't interested in investing money in me. And that, as I said, is completely understandable. But it did make it very difficult to build up that image of legitimacy, because I just needed that one person that would give me a shot. And someone did. I got help raising money before I went to Mozambique, and that was kind of my first experience. But then we got in contact with the Dust Temple, and they helped us run our very first event in 2019. And that was really the tipping point. After we'd had that first successful event and raised, I think it was $9,425 in 2 hours, that was the moment where people realized that I was actually interested in continuing this sort of a project. But before then, I'd ask people for money, I'd ask people for support, I'd ask people for mentorship, and they'd go, oh, that's interesting, but not for us. So that was one of the biggest challenges. I found that in the first few years, I also got a lot of imposter syndrome. My mum was always very, very adamant about me going to things like networking, about me attending events, me going into competitions just to try and get myself out of my comfort zone. And for the first year or two, I hated it. It was incredibly daunting. I'd be in these rooms with these phenomenal women who have made hundreds of thousands of dollars and changed so many people's lives and done all this fantastic stuff. And I was just this little kid who ran a fundraiser or two. And I didn't really have much to my name. So I got a lot of imposter syndrome. I would always think that I didn't belong in those sorts of situations. But the thing that kind of helped me get through that was remembering, just like when I was initially filming the documentary, I am not here for me. I am here to convey a message and to create an impact. And just because I'm uncomfortable or just because I'm nervous doesn't mean that that's going to stop me, because the work that I'm trying to get done needs to be done. and getting it done is more important than me going, oh no, I don't really want to break that barrier in my comfort zone. I want to stay here on the nice little comfy side. So those were some of the biggest challenges. Obviously, with running a social enterprise as a young person, you enter a lot of logistical challenges as well. Mozambique is the main country that we operate in, and getting products shipped there is very difficult, because even though it's a major port, there's lots of checks and balances. Things do unfortunately go missing sometimes. And you just kind of have to hope for the best in some instances. Initially, I thought, if I get all these things donated, all these products donated, I can send a shipping container over. That will be the best way to help. But all of the issues that we encountered along the way really solidified to me that may not be the best way to have impact. So that was when I had to kind of pivot the business models to say, we're not going to accept physical donations anymore. Instead, we're going to just really mostly accept financial donations, and then use that to help on the ground. That way it also helps local economies and things like that. So it's been a big learning curve. And that has brought with it many little challenges as well, but those are probably the major ones. That and funding, of course. Funding is always a challenge, but you find ways around it. And as a company that doesn't keep a single cent for me or for my mum, who helps a lot with the administrative side of things, that helps our image a bit, because everything that is donated everything that's donated goes directly to the girls, and we rely on grants for administrative costs and website building and things like that.
Yeah, that's really great, isn't it? I mean, quite often you come across charities where, you discover that maybe 30 or 40 cents actually goes to not to cause that you're donating to. So that would make a huge difference. So, Katura, share with us a little bit about what advice you might give to other people who are really passionate about advancing gender equity, where to start and what they could do.
The first thing that is incredibly important is you need to be aware of the situation around you. You need to know the people around you who are interested in the same things. So my first recommendation would be get involved in circles and groups of people who have that interest. When I was younger, my mum was making me go to lots of women in business events, lots of Coralist events, or at the time it was called CEO. All of those sorts of networking opportunities are incredible because they give you an opportunity to learn from people who are more experienced and know what they're doing. Gender equity is an incredibly important issue that we need to be addressing, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, administrative costs, administration takes up so much time and effort and manpower or woman power, and that can detract from the impact that you have. So instead of starting up your own project, I would recommend having a look around you. Are there other similar projects nearby that your skills would help? And maybe work with them first. Maybe down the track, when you've got more skills, you can start up something on your own. But definitely you need to be a part of that community, because not only will it help you in a business sense, it just affirms you as a person to have someone to talk to. Like, I love the Coralist breakfast that we have with Margaret, because we get around and we just chat. We have fun and we enjoy our time, but we also talk about important things. And those are just such a nice little reprieve from the busy everyday life. And you also get something beneficial out of it for your business. So definitely building that network of people that are interested in the same things is incredibly important. One basic thing that you need to have is to have a LinkedIn presence, and try and start experimenting and hearing and engaging in conversations with people, as I said, who are interested in the same thing as you. Now, once you've sort of established your business a bit more and you've got a list of things that you've achieved, one thing I would recommend is sign up for awards, because I know it's terrifying, and I know the imposter syndrome that I've gotten entering these competitions, going, I won't win, there's no point, I don't want to be tooting my own horn. But entering those competitions is not only great for networking on the awards nights, but it's also a good way to affirm what you're doing and give you a chance to market your business and what you're doing. I love going to awards ceremonies, even if I don't win. Like, going to win is not my intention. Going to network and meet people is my intention in every single instance, because basically winning award or being nominated for award is great for your mental health, but it's also great for getting free marketing, essentially. Because a lot of awards, they'll want to celebrate you. They'll want to say, hey, look at this person who's doing something cool in this sector. And that's a good way to get your message out. I won a big award last year, and I'm still hearing about it in this year's marketing material. So that's long-standing marketing that's now helping build up my business. And, it's also nice to have the trophy and have everyone say, good job. So it's good in all rounds. It's a bit daunting at first, but you get used to it. Plus, who doesn't love an opportunity to dress up and have a nice night?
Absolutely. And I have to say, at the actual awards night, lots of people were just like, oh my God, I really want to meet Katura. She just sounds amazing. The flurry around the room was very genuine. So I think a lot of people are going to be very interested to learn a little bit more about you. So what are you studying at the moment, Katura?
So I'm doing a Bachelor of Entrepreneurship and Entrepreneurial Transformation and Global Studies at the moment. It's kind of like a business and international relations degree, but more about, innovation, creative thinking, and less about politics and more about global issues and how can we address them. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm currently, I'm not sure if you can really tell, I'm in a dorm room in the UK. I'm doing a semester abroad at the moment, just outside of London. I'm absolutely loving it. I've actually got to go and study for my assignments after this because it's hitting that busy end of semester. But I'm in my third semester now, going into my second year in January. Very, very excited. And the uni experience has been different to what I was expecting, but I've made lots of friends. I've had lots of opportunities to develop not only my personal interests, but my business interests. And it's taught me a lot about how the different things that I always thought were really interesting can actually blend together quite nicely to help me with my business.
Awesome. And have you got any big goals that you're working on now for the future?
At the moment, the biggest goal that we're working on is changing our 8x8 to Educate, which is my business. We're trying to change the status from a social enterprise to a charity, because while it has worked for us in the past, and I say us because I have a team of volunteers who help out, and my amazing mother who has helped me every step of the way. At 13, I had no idea about taxes and finance and everything, so she's been incredibly helpful. But we're trying to just change to a charity so that we can hopefully get some bigger donations coming in, because without the tax refund, it does make it a little bit difficult in some instances, and it doesn't necessarily incentivize some donations. So that's the biggest goal at the moment. But I think for the next few years while I'm doing university, growing it slightly every year will be the goal. And once I graduate, trying to increase it a lot more will be how we work.
Well, that's very exciting. Thank you so much for sharing the information with us all. And we look forward to seeing where 8x8 goes over the next few years. Exciting time.
Thank you very much.
Cool.